טוב, good evening dear women, בעזרת השם שיגיע המשיח צדקנו במהרה בימינו אמן, שיגיע מבשר אליהו נביא אליהו תשביליהו גלימרם ונמשך בן דוד אליהו נביא זכור לטוב. Dear women, let's concentrate. Okay, dear women, first of all, this week is Parashat Vayishlach, and if you want a portion of Torah, please go to torahanytime.com or just write Iris or Daniel Yeshiv on Google and you'll get into the lectures immediately. Go to Parashat Vayishlach, go back in the years, and then you'll find it's through the Pardes, Bezrat Hashem, so you'll have a Dvar Torah on the table, Bezrat Hashem. We are continuing Tomer Devorah, and this is the second part. You remember we started to speak about the sin of the first human being, of Adam, and what happened before and what changed after the sin, which is until today. So today we're going to speak, this is going to be a special lecture, what happens when we come closer to a worldly view of good and bad. Next week, Bli Neder Be'ezrat Hashem, we are going to speak about birth, death and resurrection. But we have to, Be'ezrat Hashem, today we have to complete everything in order that next week, this is what I'm going to do, Be'ezrat Hashem. So let's start. The Rambam in Moreh Nevochim says, and this is what I finished last lesson when we spoke about it, Rambam Moreh Nevochim, he says over there that when we come close to the worldly view, then what happens is the more we are connected to the physical world, the more we think about good and bad in terms of na'eh u'meguneh, which means appropriate and inappropriate. The more we come closer to the physical world, there are things that we call them, this is appropriate, so this is a good thing, and this is inappropriate, and this is a bad thing. So, what we're doing, says the Rambam, is we're giving existence to bad, to evil. We are making it as reality, and truly evil does not have any reality and achizah and a touch in this world. It's only because of us. We give it. Because we think that the evil way is also a way. It's not a good way, but it's also a way. From doing things like, for example, conning people, or going like this with people, or conquering places, we think that this gives us something. We gain something. There are rewards for that. But truly it's not true, because we come to this world, it's like we come to a classroom. We sit in the classroom and the teacher comes to us and he says, well, we studied a lot, now I'm going to give you a test. So once the teacher gives us a test, dear women, it's the time when our mother gave birth to us to this world. The moment that we received the test is the time that we came to this world. The moment we finish the test is the time we pass from this world. Then we give the test back. Then when we come to the true world, and we're going to speak about it next lesson, Bli Neder, then God says, well, let's see, you did this, V, minus V, and there's calculation over there. For every word, every sentence, every meaning, every politics that we did, we did something and we thought something else, everything, lepirtei pratim, to the smallest details, dear women. It comes to the smallest details. So Rambam says, so once we think we come closer to the physical world, we cause ourselves we cause the evil to have existence. We cause it because look, usually when people look at the world today. If you look, there was I think on the CNN there was a special video. They made a special program about Mumbai, about the terrorists in Mumbai. Yes, Mumbai, about the terrorists in Mumbai. Dear women, I would like to tell you that this is mamash a minority of people who caused so much sorrow and death to people in a different place. What happens is that most of the good people, which this is the majority of the world, the good people, they stay aside. They're afraid of evil. They say, well, it's better that we won't say anything, we won't do anything. This is the way that they won't do anything to us. But it's not true, dear women. Because once we move aside, the evil gets stronger because they feel that they can do whatever they want. It's like If a person slanders another person and another person is hearing that and he does not say anything, he is punished more than the one who slandered. The one that hurts is punished more. And why is he punished more? Because, dear women, this person that slandered, he's testing to see if his words will be accepted. So he tests the area. This is how human being behaves. So they test. So he starts saying a few things, and if he sees that it's acceptable and this person wants to hear that, it means that he thinks that what he says is true. It means that he feels powerful now. Now he can continue and add things and build a tall mountain over the head of this poor person that he's speaking about. So, shtika ina kaskama. If we are silent, it means that we agree with this way. We are agreeing with it. This is silence. So what happens? The darkness becomes darker and darker and deeper, more darker, because all of the light move aside. They don't want to interfere or to do anything because they're afraid that something will happen to them, but they don't understand that a light and another light, another candle and another candle, and then they chase away the darkness. There won't be any darkness. The darkness has power because we give it the power. By behaving the way we behave. For example, if the prices of fruits will rise, okay? All the prices of fruits will rise. If we won't say anything, it will go through, and everybody will have to pay a lot of money for the fruits. But if we'll protest and will say something, then they will have to do what the people want them to do. Do you understand? So it depends on this minority, on this majority of people, that they are silent. We are silent. We're just looking through a window. And this is what the Rambam says, through a window, and we see the evil, but we don't want it to come into our house. So it's better that okay, so he does this, tomorrow he'll do it to me. But we do not understand, in order to prevent it, we need to connect to each other and prevent it from the beginning. Then the evil does not spread anymore. It stops once we do that. So dear women, so once the first human being sinned, he came to this world now, this world that we know, that there's a difference between good and bad, which are very relative. It's very relative because each one of us, good means something else to him, and bad means something else to him. It depends on his moral values. You understand? It depends on the moral values of that place or that city or that town or this community. So these are relative terms. Now we are going to continue with the Rambam. So he says that instead, while we are giving existence, chashivut v'metziut lara, we're giving him existence and importance to bad, to evil. This is what causes us to turn from terms of truth and lie to terms of good and bad. This is where we stopped last time, okay? This is what happened to us. Now we don't have terms of true, which means truth, emet, and lie. We have terms of good and bad. And you can see over the media what happens with the true. It's astonishing even. You cannot even believe that it's happening. When you see that, you can say, how come? Even the scriptures, when I see how they interpret it, and I say, wow, they made it true. Everything is about good and bad. It's not about truth and lies, dear women. So what was the test of the first human being? Now we'll go to the Arizal Zchuto Tagen Aleinu. So the test was this. The first human being had everything. He had siyata dishmaya, heavenly help from heaven. Why did he have heavenly? Because God gave him the angels to help him, to provide for him. He didn't have to work hard. Everything that he wanted was in front of him. The only thing that he was not allowed to do is to eat from the tree of knowledge, good and bad. That's the only thing that he didn't have to do. This is the only thing that it was prevented from him. Everything that he wanted, he had in front of him. So the Adam Rishon, says the Arizal, thought to himself, it's not truly a test, because God gave me this protection, heavenly protection, that everything is done for me. It's not like I'm working mamash for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he wanted to work for him. He wanted to show him that truly he loves him, and he knows that he is the existence in everything in the world. The thing is that we think, and you'll know you'll see it all around the world. It doesn't matter if it's Jewish people or it's non-Jewish people. Human being thinks, because we are created by Hashem, we think that we stand over here and God is over there. But the truth is that God and us is one. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. We are one. It's not that we are separated. God is over here watching. No, He is inside us. You remember that I spoke with you and I told you about, from Tomer Devorah, that when you sin with the power of God, with the energy of life that God gave you. It's inside you, this energy. It's like taking the head of a king, okay, a king over here in a kingdom, and putting his head in the toilet. It's the same thing, because we are taking the energy of life that God gave us, and we are doing things that He didn't want us to do, and He told us not to do. The moral things in the world is what God said in the world. Immoral things is everything that God does not want. So this is the truth and lie in the world, not more than that. This is the truth, what God wanted us to do, because En od milvado, there's no existence to the world without Hashem. And look, Hashem wants us to know that. So what does He do? He shakes our world. He shakes our world. Look very carefully at what happens in the world. So He shakes the world with nature, with earthquakes, with mudslide, with hurricanes. He shakes in order that we will remember He is the owner of the world. There's no one else. I know people say they think that they studied in the university and they think that they are scientists and big people, and then they say, but look, after we study, after we know everything, we go to the microscope, we have NMRs, we have everything to see, we can see the atoms, we can see a lot of things. So they say, God forbid, there's no existence of God, there's existence of us. But this livriyut, this is ridiculous, dear women. A human being that has waste and eats and then goes to the ground, and we'll speak about it next lesson, and then all his body rots in the ground. This is the existence of the world. This is the essence of the world. The essence of the world is God. Without Him, nothing would exist. Everything will go back to Tov Vavohu. Nothing will be here. The essence of this world is that we have to come over here just to know God. This is why we came. This is the test, not more than that. We came to know God. Once we go out of this world, there are a lot of judgment courts in heaven. A lot of judgments, and over there everything is judgment. It's not mercy. Everything is by judgment and becheshbon, with mathematical account over there. For every word, every letter in the word, everything that we did, everything comes back, and we have to say, this is true, this is what we did. Every meaning of our actions is over there. Lepirtei pratim, to the smallest parts. You have to understand, mamash, this is an illusion in this world. We think this is the essence, but no, the true essence is eternity. Eternity is in heaven, the true world. This is only an illusion. Over here we came to know God, to announce His name in this world, and to see that our children will do the same, because B'Tselem Elokim bara et Adam. All of us were created in the image of God. This is what we came to do over here. So if we know the essence, we can do a fixing to all this world. We can prevent things in this world. If we do not know, God forbid, then we have the shaking of the world. God shakes the world. Look, V'sechsachti Mitzrayim b'Mitzrayim. Yeshayahu the prophet says that on chapter 19. Look now again there's a shaking in Egypt. Look very carefully. What God says in the Bible is true. Mamash echad le'echad, one to one, every word. So let's continue. So the first human being said, I can make the test higher, in a higher spiritual level. How can I make that? Do you remember the snake told them that God does not want you to eat from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, he says, because God created worlds. He ate from this tree and He created worlds. This is very weird, the Arizal says. So they will eat and they will create worlds? That's what the snake meant? So dear women, I would like to explain this. The first human being came to this world in order to recognize Hashem, in order that he won't eat food of mercy, but he will eat food that he deserved it because he knew Hashem in this world and he did his fixing. If he would have done this, we are already in the times of Mashiach. But he did not do that, and now that day, one day, became 6,000 years, mamash. 5,773 we are now. It's still nimtach until the 7,000, which is Yemot HaMashiach mamash. So now we are already in it. So look what happened. He says to himself, God gave me everything, but I want to show him how much I love him and how much I want to be in a higher level of test for him. So he said to himself, if I will take this world, because you have to understand, we came over here to have the freedom of choice. So once he had, Brucha Haba, once he had this limitation of not eating from the tree, this was the freedom of choice, to eat or not to eat, okay? So this first test, the test means that there's like a halama, like a covering of God in this world. We do not directly, concealing, thank you. ורשמתי דווקא את המילה הזאת, conceal. So this is concealing God, a little bit of concealing, הסתר פנים of God in this world. So the first human being said, if I will eat from this tree, then I can create worlds that have more darkness, במירכאות. More darkness, which means the level of concealing Hashem in the world will become bigger. But if from this darkness I will know Hashem, then my avodat Hashem, which means my work to worship Hashem, will be in a very high spiritual level. Because the more you are in the dark and you find Hashem and you know Hashem, then the degree of reward is higher. The degree of what you'll give God and He will give you back is higher. So he said, I will create another world that God will be concealed in it more than the world that I'm in now. But the only thing he did not know, that he did not truly know what is good and bad. He knew what was truth and lie. He did not know what darkness was. He'd never experienced that. Do you understand? For example, look, you remember that Yehuda, when he speaks with Yosef, when they come to Egypt, and Yosef wants to take Benjamin, and to put him and to leave him over there, and Yehuda was the one that promised his father Yaakov that he will take Binyamin and he will bring him back. So he tells Yosef, listen, my father will die if Benjamin will stay over him. Binyamin isher po. Says, my father will die. But you know, Binyamin had 10 sons. He does not say his sons, have pity over his sons, 10 sons. He does not say, he says, his father will die. This is very weird, isn't it? Because he should have told him, look, he has 10 sons, we'll provide for them. You have to let him go so he can be with his sons, and his sons will be very sad. What will happen to them? He does not say that. And you know why? Because of the first human being. The first human being was created from earth. So he did not have an experience of a real father and mother, human father and mother. So he did not have this obligation to a human father and mother. But he had a big responsibility for his children because he had children. So he felt the responsibility and to take care of them. But he did not have from his father and mother because he did not have a human father and mother. So this is genetically what he passed through to his children. If you'll see, the children take more care of their children than their parents. Look at it very carefully. When you have to decide with your parents, I have to take care of my parents, but I have also my children and my husband, and when it stands on the Bamoznaim, the scale, it stands on the scale, dear women. So first of all, I have to say, I remember a woman that told me, you know, my mother was very sick, and then she passed away, her mother, Alea Shalom. So she said, but then I had children, and my husband, and she was in Israel, they were in the United States. So I told my sister, I cannot come over there, because first of all, it's my children. Dear women, this is natural, it comes to us. Why? Because this is what we genetically received from the first human being. He cared for his children. He did not know a human father and mother. So that's why Yehuda tells Yosef, he tells Brucha Haba. That's why Yehuda tells Yosef, dear women, he does not say, poor children, he has 10 children, have pity on them. He says, his father will die. He does not mention the children at all, dear women. So this is the same thing. It's parallel to what's happening over here now with the first human being. The first human being did not have any experience with darkness. He did not have a world that Hashem was concealed so deeply. He did not know that when darkness comes, it can be very dark until a time that a person will think that there's no connection between God forbid, to a human being. And these are the times that he will, because in the past they looked for a connection. So they prayed to the sun, they prayed to the moon, they prayed to stones, but they wanted a connection. They wanted emunah, they wanted faith. They knew somebody created us, so they were looking for a reason who is the one that created us. They did not have the right answer, but they were checking this up. They tried. Today we feel, God forbid, that God is not connected to us. We are human beings, we are smart. And you know, this is a paradox. Because the more we study, the more science is developed. This is a big paradox. The more science is developed, then our question should be bigger. Who created this world? Who had this intelligence to create such a machine like a human being? Who could put all the things together and to see it? Look at us, Baruch Hashem. Look at us, how we work. Look at a woman that gives birth. It's over nature that she walks after that, and she can do and she can take care of the children. It's above nature. It doesn't even lo nitfas badat. Even when we think about it, it doesn't. We can't find any logic in it because it's above nature. Look what happens. Everything to the fruits, to nature as a whole, to the animals, to everything that we have in the world. This should be something that is truly above us, that created all of this. The more we know, we should be more humble, and the evil inclination causes us to be more proud. Instead of, this is a paradox. The more we know, truly, we should be more humble. But you can see that the more human beings know, they have more pride. We feel, Ken, this is the evil inclination working. So the first human being did not know that. He did not.
When they did cloning, they think that is.
That's what I'm saying, dear women. The more we know, we lose our humility. God, the question is, why did God, 150 years ago, approximately, helped us with technology? Such a development in technology lately. Why? You know why? Because he saw that our spiritual faith became so low, he had to show us in a different way that he exists, that he's here, that he's part of us. So there was a spread of technology and development in a way that there wasn't from the beginning of the world, dear women. And it's all because God wanted us to see the miracles, how He created the world. These are miracles. And every day new things come. And every day new theories in physics, in mathematics, in biology. Look, and every day new medicines. Dear women, it's only because God wanted us to see His glory in this world. And we are missing it. It passes through because of the evil inclination, because the first human being did not understand what darkness is. He couldn't understand because he saw the existence of God in everything around him. He saw the existence of God in everything around him, so he couldn't even understand in his mind that there can be a situation which there will be a separation. A human being will separate himself, only thinking there's no true separation, because if there was a true separation, the person will die. God will take his soul and he will die. But in our thoughts, we think that, God forbid, there's no God, there's only us. That's what we are doing here. This is the essence of the world. It's not true, dear women. It's a mistake. אבל הוא לא ידע מה זה הסתר פנים, הוא לא ידע מה זה חושך, הוא לא התנסה בזה. It's like a person that is sick. And you come to him and you visit and you see and you say, wow, God forbid what happens to him. And you feel sorry for him. But you do not know what he's feeling because, God forbid, you're not in his feet. You do not know what he's going through. You can only have empathy to that person, but you are not in his feet. So it's the same thing. The first human being thought to make the world more darker, more darkness to this world by concealing God a little bit more. So this is creating a world that God is concealed in it in order to find the light in the darkness. You understand? So what did he think? He said to himself, this is Gilui Ha'or mitoch HaChoshech, to find the light, to reveal the light in the darkness. So what did he say? I will do a test. This is a test, a higher level of test, he says. So this will be like I'm doing Avera Lishma, which means I'm doing a transgression for the sake of God. Now, what is a transgression? This is what he wanted to do, the Arizal says, Zchuto Tagen Elenu. Avera Lishma, a transgression in the sake of heaven. So what is it? Where do we find it in the Torah? So here I'm going to give you 3 examples. First of all, I'm going to go to Yael HaGibora. You remember Yael? Eshet Chever HaKini. You remember the times of the judges, the book of We're going to today to flow through the Bible as Bezrat Hashem. We're going to flow the times. Now we're going back to the times where there was a woman, a prophet. And she was the judge at Devorah. Devorah was the judge. She sat at the gate of the city and she was judging all children of Israel. She was a woman. At her time there was Pinchas, Kohen Gadol. You remember Pinchas? That he came and he killed Zimri ben Salua Bamidianit. So it says that they asked Eliyahu Navi, how come there was a woman, a judge, judging the children of Israel, and not Pinchas? Pinchas the high priest. It is astonishing. So he said she had such rights in front of God at that time, she deserved. Which means, dear women, you can understand that each and every person can get to reach a very high spiritual level. It depends on his cleanness with God and people. You understand? Every one of us, each and every person. It depends on the way he cleansed himself towards God and human beings. The way he closed his mouth. The way he had mercy over human beings. And it depends on this level, because at that time, there was Yiftach before that, and Yiftach was a person that said to God, if you will help me to save the children of Israel from their enemies, then the first person that will go out of my home, I'm going to sacrifice it to you, God. And instead, and you know what happened to him? I'm just giving you a short review. And what happened, he did win, and his daughter went out of the door. And you know that he cannot sacrifice. This is, I don't think he thought about it before he said that. So this is a neder. He should have went to Pinchas the priest. And he should have done, taking off his neder, taking off his promise. But he did not go to Pinchas because he said, I'm a big general, Pinchas should come to me. And Pinchas did not go to him because Pinchas said, I'm a high priest, who is he? He should come to me. And because of that, Devorah, which had high morals at that time, look at this is the evil inclination playing. You understand? This is pride. So because of that, Devorah became the judge for the children of Israel. Because they did not deserve it. The men at that time did not deserve it, and the woman did. So Devorah was the judge, and her husband was Barak. And dear women, and just let me open. Dear women, just a minute, let me find it over here. You know, I put a sign, but I have so many signs that I need to find it. כן, את רואה? ישועה. שופטים, היי. אוקיי. Okay, dear women. So, Yael, there's a war between Sisra and the children of Israel, Sisra Melech Yavin, and the children of Israel, the king of Yavin, and the children of Israel. זה לא יוון, לא חושבת שזה יוון. Dear women, And it says over here, ותצא יעל לקראת סיסרא. And Yael goes out, she sees Sisera, he's next to her tent. Sisera was the general of the kingdom of Yavin. He was a big general, and he used to conquer every place that he fought. So the children of Israel were afraid to go to war, but God told Devorah that she should go, and Barak said that he will go only if his wife will escort him. So she went with him. Yael Eshet Chever Akini, she loved the children of Israel, and she saw Sisera. She went out of her tent, it says over here, ותצא יעל לקראת סיסרא, ותאמר אליו סורה אדוני, סורה אליי, אל תירא ויסר אליה. She says, come to my tent, don't be afraid. The children of Israel were winning. He came to hide in her tent. She says, come in, don't be afraid, be in my tent. ותכסהו בשמיכה, and she covered him with a blanket, it says over here. I gave you in one of the lessons about this, through the Pardes. But I'm not going to go into it, because what I want over here is transgression, בעזרת השם, for the sake of heaven. So, ויאמר אליה, אשקיני נא מעט מים, כי צמאתי, ותפתח את נוד החלב, ותשקהו ותכסהו. He says, please, give me a little bit of water, I'm thirsty. So she opens the skin that she had milk inside, and she gives him milk. Why? Because milk makes you sleepy. So, dear women, he tells her, look at the entrance of the tent and see that nobody will come in. So she says, okay, I will do that. Once he became tired, he went to sleep. She took the hammer that the tent was attached to, and she went to his forehead and she put it inside his forehead. Dear women, she killed him. This is the way the children of Israel were saved from Sisera. His mother, it says, was standing in the window waiting for him, but Devorah said a song to Hashem, Shirat Devorah. You remember when there's Shirat Hayam, there's also Shirat Devorah, dear women, Parashat Beshalach. So she says Devorah a song, and she puts Yael inside it, and she says, Tevorach minashim Yael. Yael is going to be blessed through all the women, more than all of the women. Eshet Chever Akini, the wife of Chever Akini. Minashim ba'oel tevorach. She's going to be blessed from women in the tent. Dear women, why does a woman is connected to a tent? Because we know that from Sarah Imenu. When the angels came and they wanted to speak with Sarah, they asked, Yes, Sarah ishtecha, where is Sarah, your wife? And he told them she's in the tent. So this is the modesty, the humbleness of women. They were not out when the men were out. They were in the tent waiting for their husbands, dear women. So that's why it's called Tevorach, Minashim Yael, Minashim Ba'oel Tevorach. Mayim Sha'al Chalav Natna. He asked for water and she gave him milk. He says, בספל אדירים הקריבה חמה, ידה ליתד שלחה. She took her hand to the hammer. You know, there's a thing that attaches the tent to the ground. Yes. So, dear women, it's וימינה להלמות עמלים והלמה סיסרא מחכה ראשו. She put it in his head, and this is how she killed him. ומחצה וחלפה רקתו, ממש his forehead, בין רגלי הקרה נפל שכב, בין רגלי הקרה נפל, באשר קרה שם נפל שדוד. Because before she killed him, he came to her intimately. So, dear women, this is a transgression for the sake of heaven, because of what she did. Because of what she did, she was married. Because what she did saved the whole children of Israel. That's why she was praised by Devorah Neviah, Devorah the prophet, dear women. She was praised because this is גדולה עבירה לשמה ממצווה שלא לשמה. In Masechet Nazir, page 23, it's written, גדולה עבירה לשמה. A transgression for the sake of heaven is bigger than a mitzvah that is done, not for the sake of heaven. She saved so many lives. וכל המציל נפש אחת בישראל כאילו הציל עולם ומלואו. She saved so many lives, dear women, that she was praised in the song of Devorah the prophet. So now let's look at another one, another transgression for the sake of heaven, Tamar. Do you remember, dear women, this is Parashat Vayeshev. In Chumash Bereshit, this is Parashat Vayeshev. We can see, you remember, Yehuda goes away from his brothers, and he and his two sons, he has three sons. He has Onen, Veshilo. Tamar is his daughter-in-law, and she's married to Dear women, after a while, dies, so he gives her the second son. This is called Yibum. Yibum means a law. This is a Jewish law, which means if your brother does not have children, then you should marry his wife if he passed away, and you should bring children. The first son is the soul of your brother, that he will be called on his name, dear women. So the second son, Onen, the same thing happens. So Shiloh was very small, he was little. So Yehuda told her, her father-in-law told her, sit in your father's house, and when he becomes older, I will let him marry you. But he was so afraid to let him marry her because two of his sons passed away. And you know why they passed away? I gave here a lecture about abortion in Jewish law. They passed away because of Zera Levatala, spreading the seed in vain. And they were only 7 years old. Because this is a sin that there's no mamash, almost no forgiveness for that. Because when a man spreads his seed in vain, what happens is the wife of the Samech Mem of Satan, she takes these seeds and she becomes pregnant with demons, imshadim. But those are the children of this man. So they demand from their father that he will give them food. They demand it. We're going to speak next lesson about it. So dear women, because of that, they passed away very early, both of them. So Tamar waited, and she saw that time passes, and meanwhile, Yehuda does not intend to give her his son, Shiloh. So what did she do? She heard he is close by. She went and covered herself with a scarf. I'm giving you just in general. And she went like she was a woman for rent. Yes. So dear women, then listen very carefully. Tamar starts Mashiach ben David. And we spoke about, you should come to all the lessons, then you'll understand, because I already spoke about it, dear women. From Tamar Matchil Mashiach ben David. Dear women, so he came to her, and he gave her a goat, and he said, I'm going over. What shall I? She told him, please leave signs with me. She says, please leave signs with me. So he leaves his stick, he leaves his ring, and his seal, dear women. Meanwhile, after he was with her, he went to give her a goat or a sheep, something to give her as payment. She went home. He came back, she wasn't there. After 3 months, everybody saw she's pregnant. They came to him, and they told him, your daughter-in-law is pregnant. So there was the Sanhedrin, and Yehuda was the head of the Sanhedrin. She was judged over there, and it was decided that she will be burned to death. And she did not say anything. Who was the one that was her partner to get pregnant? But she said, because she didn't want to embarrass him, she said, the person that these 3 things belong to, I'm pregnant to. So she took the 3 things and she gave it. Once Yehuda saw that, he says, she's righteous than me. You know what? It's like a king admitting that he made a mistake in front of all the most important people in the kingdom. That's why from the tribe of Yehuda, Mashiach ben David comes, the Messiah comes. Why? Because his integrity, his honesty, his fear of the true world is bigger than this world. He did not say, wow, if I'll say something now, everybody will think very low of me. I will be embarrassed in front of it. The high judges of the children of Israel are standing over. And he was the one who agreed that she will be burned to death. And she's showing that she's pregnant from him. And he said, another person will cover himself and won't say anything. But he says she's righteous and she was willing to be burnt. If he wouldn't have said anything, if he wouldn't admitted that these are his children, she would have been burnt. But look at his integrity. As his knowing Hashem, Yediat Hashem in this world, he understood it's better that I will be embarrassed in this world and not embarrassed in the true world. What will I say to God?
They missed the connection, how the wrong became right. She did do this without a marriage.
כן.
אז איך זה מסתבר פתאום?
אז הילד חוקי, עכשיו הוא יקבל אותה, ייתן את השמות שלהם, בגלל he supposed, dear women, he was supposed to give his son to Tamar. He did not do that. And she wanted to have children. She knew in Devorah that she's going to have children of Messiah. She's going to have a descendant. It's going to be Mashiach ben David, King David and all of his children. And also the prophet Ishayahu is part of her descendants. So she came, this is a transgression for the sake of heaven.
They were not married.
לא.
So after that they did get married?
After that הם נתן את השם שלו. אבל אחר כך הם לא התראו יותר. בזה נגמר העניין. היא כבר הביאה. She had 2 children. Yes. Dear women, shh. Wait. Shh. The 3 things that he gave her is like from here we know how to do kiddushin. It's like a kiddushin.
Wasn't married? No.
No. But it was like a kiddushim, dear women. The 3 things that he gave her was like a kiddushim. What she asked if it truly he made a kiddushim to her. He was supposed to come and take it back. It was not supposed to stay with her. She took those 3 things because she knew there will be a problem. Once she's pregnant, you cannot hide it. Everybody will know that. So she knew there will be a problem. And she cannot come, if she gave it back to him, tell him, I'm pregnant from you, because he did not see her. She was covered with a scarf. He did not know that it was Tamar, his daughter-in-law. But he was supposed to do that, because you remember the Arizal says, Zchutot hagen aleinu, dear women, shh. The Arizal says, you remember that in order that there will not be prosecution in the heavens, that the precious souls of Mashiach ben David will come to this world, God brings this soul in a way that seems like not a kosher way. You understand?
I think it's forbidden for a man to sleep with his daughter-in-law by today's...
בטח.
by the Torah.
By the Torah, בטח זה אסור.
So how this...
It's like Lot was, his 2 daughters were intimate with him, from Lot. Why? Because I told you already, this is from the secrets of the Torah, from the Zohar Kadosh. The Arizal says, in order to bring a precious soul and to this world, because when a precious soul comes to this world, when a precious soul comes to this world, there are prosecutions over there. Satan says, don't bring it over here, because then the freedom of choice will not be even. If you brought such a high spirit to this world, it won't be even. Then there's no freedom of choice. So what does God do? He brings it in a way that looks like a sin. It only looks like a sin, but it has to be in this way in order that this soul will come. For example, Satan does not even think that Mashiach ben David will be born on Tisha B'Av, on the 9th of Av, because it's the ruining of the temple. But just then, on the ruining of the temple, Mashiach ben David is born. Born spiritually, which means he's awakened by Hashem to know that he's Mashiach, that he's the one that's supposed to save the whole world and to announce the name of God in this world. You can see that all of the way, I already did it once with you, I think on Shavuot or something. When I showed you how Mashiach ben David comes over here, it starts with Lot and his 2 daughters. 2 daughters who come on the father, it's forbidden. And still they were intimate with her father. And the oldest daughter, from her, Moavim Yatsu. The nation of Moab came from her. From her is Ruth Moaviyah. And this Tamar, look over here, the Bamash, everything is connected. Tamar had to be with Yehuda. From them both, this connection, came twins. Shnei Tomim, they came twins. And the twins were Peretz, Bezerach, from Peretz. This is the Shoshelet of Mashiach ben David. This is... זה בין 100 נשמות של יהודה, כי הכל מתחיל מיהודה. But dear women, it had to come to this world. And because he prevented his son to marry her, because I told you, the father has all of the souls that are supposed to come to this world for generations. You remember? You remember that I told you that Avraham Avinu had all of the souls of the Jewish people in his mind, spiritually. All of these souls went to Yitzchak. From Yitzchak passed it through to Yaakov. Yaakov divided it between 12 tribes. You understand? 12 tribes which Yaakov divided. So the father has all of the generations forward in his mind. We are the women are helping him to cause it to be physical in this world. From the spiritual world, this soul comes to us. We are the ones that magshimim et ze, cause it to be, like for example, if you take an egg, the white part of the egg, when you look at it, at the beginning, it's clear, you can look through it, okay? But once you start working it, it becomes thicker, okay? Thicker, and you cannot, this is called making it more physical. This is the same thing. It's in the spiritual world, and little by little it becomes more physical, that we can see it, we can touch it. So it's from the mind of the man. That's why his punishment is so big when he spreads his sperm in vain. Because all of his future, it's like he's killing a human being. Because this is his future generations, you understand? Okay, dear women, so let's continue. So this is a transgression for the sake of heaven. From here, Mashiach ben David comes. Shh. The third thing, which is very important, is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu in Chumash Shmot. Dear women, shh. Parashat Vayera. It says at the beginning of Parashat Vayera, it says, Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe, Vayomer elav ani Hashem. God speaks to Moshe and he says, I am God. Shh. But it starts with the word Elokim. Explain it better.
Describing children.
Wait, let me finish this.
You're describing. כאילו בפשט they were not supposed.
Okay, you have to understand, she was so righteous from how we study that we are not allowed to embarrass a person in front of people. From her we learned that, because she was willing to be burnt. She was willing to be burnt, dear women, and just not to say that it was him. She said, if I'll show him the 3 signs and he will admit, if he won't admit, I will be burnt for the sake of heaven. I wanted to do a mitzvah so my husbands will have, the 2 truly Tomim twins came for the two husbands that she had. So in order to do the mitzvah of Yebum, she wanted to do that, and he prevented her from doing this because he did not give her his 3rd child. So dear Ken.
Peretz and Zerach were the...
Peretz, Peiresh Tzadik. היו תאומים. כן, ופרץ זה משיח בן דוד, ממנו יצא של משיח בן דוד. טוב, dear women, let's come over here. This is important to our days now. Shh. So this is how Parashat Ve'era starts. At the end of Parashat Shmot, it's written over there that God sent Moshe Rabbeinu to speak with Paro. Paro speaks to Moshe. Moshe speaks to Paro, and Paro does not want to listen. He slaves the children of Israel, and he makes the life harder. He does not give him teeth. He does not give him straw in order to prepare the bricks. So they come to Moshe Rabbeinu and they tell him, "What did you do to us? You caused us to have a hard labor now, more than we had before, because you went to Paro and spoke to him." And Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Vayomer, lama heriota la'am hazeh, lama zeh shlachtani." He comes to Hashem and he says, "God, why did you cause those people, the Jewish people, hard labor like this? Why did you send me?" And Chazal say, this is not comprehensible, because Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Hashem face to face. Moshe Rabbeinu was the top, the leader of the prophets. So how come Moshe Rabbeinu will tell Hashem, "Why did you send me? What did you do to these people?" He will be cross with God. He will tell him that what he does is not right. Why did he do that? Moshe Rabbeinu knows that everything that God does is right. So we come at the beginning. This is the end of Parashat Shmot, and at the beginning of Parashat Ve'era it's written, "Vayomer Elokim, Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe, Vayomer Ani Hashem." God, in the name of judgment, speaks to Moshe. He says, "I am Hashem, I am mercy." The question is, I'll explain. If you have questions, ask me. Because we are only here. I have to finish everything today. Bli neder v'ezrat Hashem. So he asks him, they ask Chazal, the sages, why does he start with judgment and ends with mercy? So look what Moshe Rabbeinu did. Bnei Sachar, זכותו תגן עלינו, his name is Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Medinov. He wrote something very precious. He says, we learn from all of the righteous people in the Jewish people, when you go backwards, we learn how to bring mercy to the children of Israel and judgment to the evil people, whoever they are. How to cause that mercy will come upon the Jewish people, and judgment at the same time will come to our enemies. So how do you do that? So Bnei Sachar says, look, it says in Parashat, again I need to go to Parashat Re'eh, wait a minute. So, Baruch Hashem. It says, Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha veklala. God says, look today, I'm giving in front of you a blessing and a curse. He says, Et habracha asher tishma'u el mitzvot Hashem Elokechem, asher anochi mitzvah etchem hayom. He says, blessing is if you will listen to my mitzvot. Mi she'oseh mitzvah listens to the mitzvah and does what Hashem wants him to do. This is bracha. He brings a tube of prosperity not only to himself, he opens to the whole world. The whole world gains from the children of Israel who do the commandments of Hashem, who follow the commandments of Hashem and love each other. The whole world gains. Which means if you did a mitzvah, the whole world, you open a tube of prosperity for the whole world. But God says, God continues, "V'klala im lo tishmu el mitzvot Hashem Elokechem." But if you do not do the mitzvah, okay, I'll write mitzvah over here, and this is, you do not do the mitzvah, this brings a curse. It doesn't bring judgment only to the children of Israel, to the whole world. Everybody. The whole world, which means, truly, the world depends on the children of Israel. Like Bereshit. Slicha? Ken. It depends only on the children of Israel. Bereshit bara Elokim. God created the world for the children of Israel that they will study His Torah. Period. If we do what He wants us to do, the Mashiach was already here. When we don't follow God's commandment, Mashiach is not here. We are waiting for him, and we are having this suffering because this is the end of days. We are in the process. Every end is, after every end there's a beginning, a new beginning. Bezrat Hashem, we are waiting for the new beginning. So dear women, the question is, how if we are doing a mitzvah, if we're following the commandments of Hashem and we are bringing blessing to the whole world, so, and if we are not following it, we are opening a tube of a judgment to the whole world. So how can we can bring only mercy to the children of Israel and judgment to the enemies of the children of Israel? How can we do that? It seems very difficult to do that. Dear women, we can do that. The only way we can do that is by, wait, I'll put it in color, by doing a transgression for the sake of heaven. This is the only way that there will be mercy upon the children of Israel and judgment upon the enemies of the children of Israel. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? So, מה הוא רצה לעשות? This is beautiful. So Moshe Rabbeinu told Hashem, he says to Hashem over here, you need water? But I need water too, תודה. ברוך אתה מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. תודה. מצווה גדולה ורמה בלבוש עבירה, עבירה בלבוש מצווה. Okay, dear women, so let's continue. So he says, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Hashem, למה הריעות על העם הזה? Why did you cause so hardship for this people? Why did you send me? It's like he's questioning Hashem, and if we question Hashem, it means that we think, God forbid, that God is not just. When we think that something happened to us and we do not deserve it, I know some people that say, why does it happen to me? I'm righteous. What did I do wrong? Dear women, this means that we think that the judgment in heaven is not true. That the judgment is not fair. God forbid. At that minute, our books are opened. Because every judgment that we have over here is with mercy. So the books are open and they say, if they think that God was not merciful with them, now let's see truly what they did. Let's give them the judgment that they deserve, God forbid. Don't ever complain, ever. Don't ever complain to anything that you have in this world. Say thank you. Don't complain. Lo litlonen. Don't ever complain, God forbid, because then the books are open. Yes. All the people in the world. For all the people. Lo lashon velo litlonen. Don't complain. Explain to her in Russian, not to complain. Complain. Oh. So don't complain. You are not allowed to complain. Dear women, it's written, עצור תמים פועלו כי כל דרכיו משפט אל אמונה ונבל צדיק וישר הוא. God is just. Nothing happens to us that we do not deserve. Everything that happens to us is exactly what we need for our fixing in this world. For the test that we will succeed in the test. Everything that happens to us. So Moshe Rabbeinu, what he did, God understood. God said, I know your soul, Moshe. You are doing this in order to do a transgression, because it's a sin to say that God is not fair. So he says, you are doing this in order to save the children of Israel from their enemies, from Egypt, from Pharaoh. So he said, because of that, because you're doing a transgression, for the sake of heaven, I'm going to bring mercy upon the children of Israel and the 10 plagues over the Egyptians. So this is mamash in order בוחן ליבות וכליות. This is God knows our hearts. He knows our thoughts. We cannot tell God something that is not true, because He knows everything. You know, when a person comes to the true world, when he left this world, he passed away. Over there, they show him. Oh, there's a beautiful story. You know, the Al-Sheikh was giving a lecture, and it says he was in the times of the Arizal, and the Arizal was sitting at the end of the room, and all the time of the lecture he was smiling. So at the end of the lecture, the Al-Sheikh came to him and he said, "Why are you smiling?" So he says, "You know, you gave a lecture about Lavan, the way he cheated Yaakov Avinu, and all his techniques and everything." So he says, he would receive the permission. They took him down to this room. He was here, and everything that she said, he had to nod in his head that this is true, this is true. The whole lesson, he was nodding in his head, and I couldn't stop laughing because I saw him nodding on all the tricks, everything that you showed that he did to Yaakov Avinu. So dear women, God knows our heart. We cannot lie. And over there in the true world, in the judgment over there, they show us everything that we did in life, and we have to say that it is true. We are not standing alone over there. We are nobody comes over there to help us. We are standing alone, but all of the souls of our forefathers and family are standing over there. It's a big shame. The soul feels a big shame because all of our transgressions are said in front of everyone. Everybody knows that passed away, they hear the judgment. So don't think, if you think you're embarrassed over here, God forbid, it's better to be embarrassed in this world than not in the true world. Do you understand? Over there everybody stands. All the souls come.
Where is better, there or here? I just feel so better.
Here, it's like here.
There is no two-way ticket, that's why.
Dear women, so let's continue. Now we're at this stage. So now we understand that the first human being wanted to do a transgression in the sake of heaven, and then he felt that he will be in a higher spiritual level. He will do Kiddush Hashem Gadol Yoter, which means praising the name of God in a higher level. I would like to show you. So we understand that the first human being was putting himself in the test, mamash. He wanted to have the test. You know who wanted to have a test too, dear women? David HaMelech. And Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, they did the same thing. I want to show Bereshit Rabbah, Perek Yudaled. I want to tell you something, dear women. Can I say something? Sure. I want to tell you that I love you. I want to thank God. I want to thank God, Baruch Hashem, that He gave me all of you. Thank you. Toda Rabba Ribono Shel Olam. I love you from all of my heart.
We love you.
Oh, I'm so happy. So, dear women, it's written over here, בראשית רבה, פרק י"ד, it's written, את האדם, כתוב ככה, אמר רבי לוי, האדם הגדול בענקים זה אברהם. He says, the tallest person, the highest spiritual person that is in giants, the highest of giants is Avraham Avinu. It's wait. למה קורא אותו גדול? Why is he the biggest, the highest? Yeah, I'll explain everything. Follow me. So why does he call him this? שהיה ראוי להיברות קודם לאדם הראשון. He was supposed to be before the first human being. Avraham Avinu was supposed to be born instead, to be created instead of the first human being. Listen, wait, we'll do it together step by step. So he says he was supposed to be קודם לאדם הראשון. אלא אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, but God said, שמא יקלקל, maybe the first human being will ruin, ואין מי שיבוא ויתקן תחתיו. There won't be any person that will fix it. אלא הרי אני בורא את האדם, I will create the first human being את האדם, Adam first, שאם יקלקל יבוא אברהם ויתקן תחתיו. So if he will ruin, then Avraham Avinu will come and fix everything. אמר אם יקלקל. אם יקלקל. אם, אפשרות הבחירה בסוף אנחנו יכולים לבחור לעשות או לא. אם יקלקל אמרת, זה לא סתם כתוב ככה. So נו, אז הוא אמר אם יהיה אברהם אבינו. Why? Because when the first human being sinned and ate from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, you remember that until Avraham Avinu, they worshipped idols. Avraham Avinu was the first person after 20 generations to recognize God in this world. One human being that came from Babylon, from Iraq. One human being. Everybody's worshipping the sun, the wood, the stone, and one human. You can imagine what kind of courage he had to stand for what he thinks? No. Can you imagine to stand against the darkness and to break the idols? once he understood that God created this world, without God there's no world, what courage of Mamash Kiddush Hashem it is. This is for the sake of heaven. But dear women, what kind of
What was the third one?
Avraham Avinu. So dear women, tell me, dear women, what kind of test he put himself in? You remember that God told him that he wants him to be humble in tamim. זה יותר מילה, תמים, מי שיודעת איך להגדיר תמים יותר, it's not only humble. More than honest. Pure. נקרא לזה pure. God wanted him to be pure. So what did Avraham Avinu do, dear women? Shh. He meant God that he will do the brit. He will do to himself the brit. He was 99 years old. You know, it's very dangerous at that age. And he did it to himself. Not that a surgeon came and did it to him. He did it to himself. And Ishmael was 13 years old at that time. And that's why the Ishmaelim, until today, they circumcise themselves at the age of 13. Until today. Dear women, so Avraham Avinu called his three friends. Mamre, he called Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. Three friends. Their names were Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. And he wanted them to tell him, what do they think about the circumcision? So Aner said, you're crazy. You're 99 years old. Why should you put yourself in danger? You shouldn't do it. It may be you're illusioning. It's an illusion. Don't do it. And Eshkol said, he said to him, listen, if you will do the circumcision to yourself, all the nations will become your enemies because you will be different from others. You will gain enemies. And then Mamre said, listen very carefully. You should do whatever God commanded you. Look, he saved you from the fire. You were in the fire, B'ur Kasdim, for 3 days. Nimrod the king threw you to the fire. 3 days God saved you. He saved you from the 4 kings. He saved you from hunger when there was hunger in the land. So he says you have to listen to him. That's why it's written in the parasha Vayara alav be'elonei Mamre. God was revealed to him in the place where Mamre, his friend, told him to listen to God's commandments. Why did Avraham Avinu do that? Because he wanted his test to be in a higher spiritual level, just like the Adam HaRishon, the first human being. Because when people speak to him and they give you their opinions, then you start thinking, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you remember this, you start thinking. So this is what he did. He wanted the test, but he succeeded in the test. Another person wanted the test, and the person was King David. King David, Masechet Sanhedrin Kuf Zayin. Dear women, he wanted the test, and listen what kind of test he got. It says over here, לעולם אל יביא אדם עצמו לידי ניסיון. Never ask for a test. Never tell God, God forbid, test me. Never. Because you do not know how the evil inclination is waiting for this. We can barely stand and succeed. We can barely succeed in the tests that we already have. So that God gives us, and he gives us the power to stand through the tests and to succeed in them. So when you ask for a test on your own, God forbid, there's no guarantee that he will give you a help to succeed in the test. So it says, במסכת סנהדרין ק"ז, שהרי דוד מלך ישראל הביא עצמו לידי ניסיון. King David asked for the test. ונכשל, and he did not pass the test. Okay, so it says, אמר לפניו, King David said, ריבונו של עולם, מפני מה אומרים אלוקי אברהם, אלוקי יצחק ולא יעקב? Why do the children of Israel pray and they say, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Yaakov in the prayer of 18? He said, ואין אומרים אלוקי דוד. Why don't they say, אלוקי דוד, the God of David? He says, אמר לו, he tells him, I tested them and they passed the test, they succeeded. I did not test you, he says. So King David says, test me. He says, you know what? I will test you in intimate relationships that are forbidden. I'm telling you what the test is going to be, and I'm going to do it immediately. So what King David did, listen very carefully. He called his wife, he changed the night and day. because usually, by halakha, it's good to be intimate with your wife at night, dear women, after midnight, at the time of midnight, after midnight. So what he did, he changed it. He says, so I won't have any lust or desire to a woman. I will be with my wife during the day. So now I will be fulfilled. But he forgot a certain rule. The rule is, it says, Mar iver yesh ever katan ba'adam, in the man there's a small organ. A small organ, you know what I mean? The organ of reproduction. So the man has this organ. If he feeds him, he becomes more hungry. But if he does not feed this organ, he becomes satisfied. He's not hungry. Why? Because once, it's the same thing like food. Food, dear women, once we start eating, it tastes good, we want more. It's the same thing. Once you have a desire for a woman and you go to the women, you want more. It's not enough. The evil inclination already found a place to sit on you on lust. So you want more. So King David thought he will change day and night and he will be okay. Meanwhile, the night came and he couldn't sleep. Meanwhile, the night came, he couldn't sleep. Dear women, shh. There was a woman standing on the roof and she was covered. There was blankets covering her. She was cleaning her head in order to go to the mikveh. So she was washing her head. Shh. The evil inclination, בגג, on the roof. כן, ככה פעם היה, לא היה בתוך הבית. אז היא הייתה על הגג, זה מכוסה היה. So she was, he was studying halachot. Let me give it. I know it raises questions, but let me, little by little, I'll give you everything. Bli neder, b'siyata dishmaya. So, dear women, she was washing her hair, and the evil inclination, Satan came as a bird. And meanwhile, King David was studying halachot, the Jewish laws. And one of the Jewish laws, he forgot. So he was wondering what he will do, and he saw that there was a bird on the blankets that were stuck. He didn't know that she was having a shower. She's washing her head. So he took a bow and arrow and he put it towards the bird. The bird was Satan, dear women. It came to the blankets, they fell down, not the bird. And then he saw a beautiful woman, Bathsheba, dear women. He saw a beautiful woman, and once he saw her, immediately he asked about her. He immediately asked about her. So, dear women, and it's a test. And this is only. Let's continue. So what we see over here, there were two people. I'm showing you just examples in the history of people that also asked for a test. So the first human being, Amen. The first human being did the same thing. So he decided that there will be more concealing of the name of God in the world. He will create, by eating from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, he will create a world that the name of God is more concealed, more in darkness. We cannot see the light. And then from this darkness, he will reveal the light, and his test will be in a higher level. And like I told you, you should never put yourself in a test. מה מתוקה? זאת אומרת שהוא אמר ככה, נברא עולם, בזה שאני אוכל מעץ הדעת טוב ורע, ייברא עולם חדש, שבו יהיה יותר חושך. זאת אומרת, פחות ידעו את הקדוש ברוך הוא, אני מתוך החושך הזה ידע את הקדוש ברוך הוא, אז מתוך החושך יצא האור. ואז המבחן שלו הרבה ברמה יותר גבוהה. כשזה ברור שהקדוש ברוך הוא שולט בכל העולם, זה כאילו לא כמעט מבחן. אבל כשלא כל כך ברור, כמו היום, שאתם לא יודעים, לא רואים את הקדוש ברוך הוא, את המציאות שלו בתוך כל מה שנמצא סביבנו, המבחן הוא מאוד גדול. לדעת את הקדוש ברוך הוא, שכל המציאות היא ממנו, אין עוד בלבדו.
איך הוא יכול עם הראש הקטן שלו צ'יט אותו?
מה?
איך הוא יכול עם הראש הקטן שלו, רק נולד, ולעשות צ'יטינג?
עוד מעט, זה שיעור הבא. It's not cheating, it's just trying, it did not mean to cheat. He tried to make his test in a higher level. זה לא cheating, זה הוא ניסה לעשות את המבחן שלו ברמה רוחנית יותר גבוהה. קידוש השם זה נקרא. So dear women, let's continue. Shh. So it says, over here, what I wrote over here, Diatara choshech mamash velo ken choshech. He thought that the darkness is not a true darkness. It's like darkness. If there's concealing of the name of God in the world, and we do not know that everything has the essence of God, it's like darkness. He did not understand that truly when darkness comes, it can come to a stage that people will not believe in, God forbid, in God. He did not understand this. So, dear women, let's see, it's written over here. I'll go to this, and then maybe this next time I'll give it to you with all of the angels. I will.
In the last two
מצווה גדולה ורמה בלבוש אוויר.
the split.
זה מלאכי סדום ומלאכי בראשית. אני כתבתי לי ככה, אני אסביר לכם יותר מאוחר. Okay, I'll give you the explanation. The angels, when God created the world, said, מה אדם כי תזכרנו? Why are you creating this world for a human being and putting a human being there and giving him your precious Torah? Because the angels could not understand truly the freedom of choice because they don't have a freedom of choice. They could not understand what the true essence of this world. If the angels would come to this world, do you think that they can stand the tests in this world? No. For example, it says in Bereshit, look over here. For example, at the beginning, it says over here, Vayiru bnei Elokim et bnot ha'adam. Bnei Elokim, one of the explanations is the children of God means angels. They saw the girls, the female human beings. They saw how beautiful they are. Ki tovot hena, how beautiful they are. Vayikchu lahem nashim. So they took them as women. And there's Chazal say that there were two angels that said to Hashem, you see, the humans cannot stand your tests, but we can. Let us go down to this world and we'll show you. So two angels came to this world. I won't mention their names because they are names of not so good angels. So they came to this world, but they saw the female human beings and they had a party. They took wives, they had a party over here. So another angel came to them and he told them, you see, when you came to this world, you couldn't stand it. You couldn't stand it and you couldn't stand the test. You did not succeed in the test. One of them did tshuva, the other one didn't. And then eventually he was taken to the mountains of darkness and he was put over there. And another angel was put also over there. You know, King Solomon used to go with an eagle every day over there to study for them magic. With on an eagle, he used to go over there. So, dear women, we can see an example of angels that even though they don't have evil inclination, when they came to this physical world, they did not succeed in the test. But there's another thing. You remember Sdom ve'Amorah, dear women? You remember that Avraham Avinu tells Hashem, please God, don't destroy the city, don't destroy it. רק רגע. Yes, he said if there's 45 righteous people, and then he went down 10 righteous people, and then he came to the conclusion there's no righteous people, God is going to destroy Sodom ve'Amorah. Before it happens, 3 angels come to Avraham Avinu. The angels were Michael. Wait a minute, I just want to find the place. רק רגע, שנייה, I just want to find the Here, okay. So there are 3 angels that came on Parashat Vayera elav Melonei Mamre. They came to him, it was Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. The angel Raphael came to heal Avraham Avinu. But Michael and Gabriel went to the city of Sodom. There were 5 cities together, Sodom ve'Amorah, dear women. And over there, Michael came to save Lot and his daughters and all of his family. And Gabriel came in order to ruin the city. But I want you to pay attention to what they say to Lot. They say over there, Ki mashchitim anachnu et hamakom hazeh. They say we came to ruin this place. Pay attention. At the end of the sentence they say, כי גדלה צעקתם מפני השם וישלחנו השם לשחתה. God sent us in order to ruin this place, to burn this place to ashes. Wow. At the beginning of the sentence, they said, again, כי משחיתים אנחנו, we are going to ruin this place. At the end of the sentence, they say, God sent us. Because of this, they were punished. These angels, they were righteous. They were punished to stay 130 years in this world and not to come to heaven. When did they come to heaven? When Yaakov Avinu was dreaming about the ladder. That's why it's written that angels are going up and down, because angels should go down and then up, because they come from heaven. Because they had the permission on the merit of Yaakov Avinu to go back to heaven. And you can see that even though they were righteous, their words, they said, we are, instead of saying God did, God sent us. They said that at the end of the sentence, but they began with, we came to ruin Sodom Gomorrah. So you can see that even the angels cannot stand, they don't have evil inclination. But this energy of evil, they cannot stand in between it. Even for them, the test is very hard. They did not succeed in the test. So the first human being wanted one thing to do. He thought that he's doing a big mitzvah in the clothing of a transgression of a sin. But truly, he did a sin in the clothing of a mitzvah. Dear women, that's what truly he did, a sin in a clothing of a mitzvah. He did not do a sin for the sake of heaven. This was a sin for the sake of sin in the clothing of a mitzvah. The next lesson, B'ezrat Hashem, is going to be about the birth, how it's connected. We did not finish yet. Birth, death, and resurrection. I would like to bless all of you, dear women. שבעזרת השם יגיע משיח צדקנו במהרה בימינו אמן. שיגיע מבשר אליהו נביא זכור לטוב לעולם מפרד אדם מחברו בדבר הלכה יחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים. God bless